This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you an exclusive interview with V. Muraleedharan, Union Minister of State for External Affairs. The interviewer is Bhupender Singh, Akashvani correspondent.
Today we have with us Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muraleedharan. Sir, a very warm welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Sir, my first question is, India is going to host G20 Leaders Summit on 9th and 10th of next month. During the inaugural session of the G20 Sherpa meet, sir, you had said that G20 has become a pupil movement. Could you please elaborate?
See, this time the G20 of which India is holding the presidency, that is different in many ways. And one difference is that this is no more pure diplomatic exercise, but it has become an activity of the common man, of the general public. So, the Prime Minister's opinion and his view is that there should be Jan Bhagidari, participation of the people in the G20 activities. That's why G20 was taken to almost more than 50 destinations in the country. 200 events were held. And I can tell you that the Civil 20, that section of the G20, that itself had the participation of almost 45 lakh people. So if you look at the number of places, the number of events, or the number of persons who have attended the G20's deliberations, that number would be the largest and the highest. So the common Indian, the ordinary Indian, is now aware of the G20, he is involved in the G20, and he has participated wholeheartedly in the discussions of the G20. That's why I said that this year's India's presidency of G20 is a people's G20.
Sir, could you provide insights into India's priority within the G20 framework, particularly in terms of fostering cooperation on issues such as sustainable development, trade and climate change?
See, G20, as every one of us know, it's the most prominent multilateral event which brings together the most powerful economies of the world, the 20 powerful economies of the world. So, on the one hand, we look at the economic side of the whole world scenario. At the same time, India wanted to bring in some new perspectives to this whole G20 exercise. That's why we held that G20 should not be an exclusive club, but instead it should reflect the views of the world. So that's why the Voice of Global South was organized by India, and G20 should reflect the views of the common citizens of the world, their issues. So in that climate change, inclusive development, various economic aspects, all these are being brought in. One major point that we have already brought in is the creation of the digital infrastructure. The India's technological growth that has happened during the last 9 years, that is being reflected in the deliberations of the G20.
Sir, as you said that India's G20 presidency agenda is centered on the core principle of the 4D, advancing decarbonization, digitalization, ensuring equitable development, and de-escalating conflict. Could you shed light on the strategies India intends to employ to foster agreement and cooperation among the G20 member nations to effectively realize these objectives?
See, that's why I mentioned in the beginning itself about our efforts in all these aspects. How the challenges of climate change that can be mitigated. That's why the Prime Minister mentioned that one earth, one sun, one grid. We have initiated the International Solar Alliance. We have initiated the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So all these are in a way aimed at mitigating the ill effects of the climate change and the global warming. That is there on the one hand. On the other hand, we are trying to create mechanism, or I can say a scenario, where instead of some particular country dominating the whole world or having a bipolar world, which was the earlier scenario, now we are moving towards a multipolar world. And in that multipolar world, definitely India will have a role to play. So on all these aspects, India has played its role even during the COVID and even otherwise also. So this G20 will give an opportunity for India to showcase before the world India's progress in technology, which is the manifesto that has come in the form of the digital public infrastructure, as well as the latest India's achievement of the success of Chandrayaan. So all these aspects shows that Technology plays a major role and India can contribute a lot to that.
Sir, how has India's emphasis on the concerns and aspirations of the global south during its G20 presidency contributed to a shift in perception of the developed economies and engagement with the region's challenges?
See, that's why I said that our effort has been to bring together the whole world connected to this platform. That's why we said that one earth, one family, one future. The whole world is one family. So when we mention ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it no more remains as a slogan, but we walk that talk. That's why the Voice of Global South was organized. The concerns of the developing nations, the concerns of the African nations, the concerns of the global south, that is now reverberating more, that is being reflected more in the discussions that has happened on various tracks, whether it is the financial track or the Sherpa track or the civil society's activities. In all these things, it has reflected. I am sure that when the summit happens, the G20 leaders of each country, the top economies, they will also take note of these concerns that has been raised by the countries of the global south.
Sir, several African countries are facing the crisis of food insecurity, which requires coordinated and sustained efforts from the G20 countries and other stakeholders. In your opinion, what steps need to be taken to deal with the crisis of food insecurity in African countries?
See, India has been engaging with African countries since long, and when Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji took over, he gave a new dimension to the whole engagement with Africa. When he addressed the Ugandan parliament in Kampala, he laid down the policies that will guide India's engagement with Africa, in which he specifically mentioned that India's engagement with Africa will be guided by the needs of Africa. So now the African countries, they feel confident that India doesn't have any ulterior agenda in engaging with Africa. Instead, the well-being of Africa, the needs of Africa, that will be addressed by India. So India has initiated the development partnership. India shares its experience with Africa. India shares its resources with Africa. Our trade is improving. Our bilateral cooperation is improving. Our technology is being shared with them. And including food, we come to the help of Africa whenever there is a need. So now it is accepted by the African countries that India is a friend that can be trusted. India has no other motives in coming to the help of Africa. Even when there is a natural calamity, the country that African countries look to the maximum is India. So I am sure that this will in a way motivate others also to take this stand.
Sir, how does India intend to leverage the G20 Summit as a platform to showcase itself as a prime investment destination? Additionally, in your opinion, how will the G20 Summit contribute significantly to the realization of the $5 trillion economy target in the coming years?
See, as I mentioned to you, the way G20 was organized, spanning the entire country with 200 events and almost 50 to 60 destinations, that has given an opportunity for the world to see the progress that India has achieved. The infrastructure that we have created, the technological advancement that India has made possible. So I am sure that countries looking for destinations for investment, they will find that India has a trained manpower, skilled manpower, the largest in the world. And those who are keenly observing India's growth, they say that India is going to be the skill capital of the world. So the global capital, there is every possibility that they will come to a conclusion that India is a place where the skilled manpower is available, where there is an option for infrastructure development, and the recent decisions that we took in the domestic front of decriminalizing minor offences, of doing away with redundant laws, and also reducing the compliance burden. These will make India very attractive location and destination for foreign investment to come in, which will help in creation of jobs, which will help in making ease of living for the common man, And the common man, the ordinary citizen of India, he is going to benefit from all this investment and other things that is coming into India.
Sir, as India works towards solidifying migration and mobility partnership with numerous nations, how will these initiatives contribute to the social security and overall well-being of Indian workers and professionals abroad?
See, we have taken a stand that we have a trained manpower which no other country can boast of. That trained manpower, we need to utilize their capabilities within India for the country's development, as well as allow them to share that or utilize that capability in other parts of the world also. So, we need to facilitate safe and secure migration. That is why MEA has given the slogan of Prashikshit Jaye, Surakshit Jaye. Go safe, go trained. So we provide the training facilities, we provide the pre-departure orientation training. And at the same time, with many countries, we have integrated our e-migrate systems. With many countries, we have entered into agreements where the skilled manpower requirement of that country is reflected on that portal, which will be known to the recruiting agencies in India or the employers there. They will specifically mention what is the type of people they are looking for, which can be utilized. That information will be useful for us in India and provide that. At the same time, their security and safety also has to be ensured. For that also, we try to, through our agreements that we have entered in, we ensure that those who go there, they are treated well, they are given good remuneration. So, Indians get the type of treatment that any other developed country's workforce gets. So, this will ensure that Indians earn better and that earnings will definitely be helpful for their families back home.
Sir, India has signed recent agreements with various nations to facilitate transaction in domestic currencies, promoting global engagement in Indian rupees transaction and enhancing bilateral trade. Can you explain the crucial role anticipated for UPI in this context?
See, India has now entered into agreements with almost 20 countries to trade in local currencies. There was a period when we used to do the whole trade in dollars. Now that situation is over. Now Indian currency is valued very much by many countries. So we have a Indian rupee from the side of India and the local currency from that side. So trade in local currency is being promoted. There is an agreements are being entered into. Many are willing and open to do that. At the same time, our digital platforms, that is financial transaction platforms, that are being integrated. Our UPI is being integrated with various other platforms, digital platforms of those countries, so that it doesn't take much time. It removes the time lag. It removes the many technical issues that one has to face in facilitating the transfer of money as well as various other facilities. Both these things go hand in hand. One hand, the currency. Second, the integration of our digital platforms. This will facilitate improvement of bilateral trade. This will facilitate India's export to improve upon. Like last year, we aimed for $400 billion and we could achieve that. So this year, I am sure that we will go far ahead on this count also.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us your precious time.
Thank you.
You were listening to an exclusive interview with V. Muraleedharan, Union Minister of State for External Affairs. The interviewer is Bhupender Singh, Akashvani correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.